slaves, okay? The people who weren't going to live under tyranny. I also come from a long line of civil rights activists, people who stand up when it's time to stand up and they say, no more, I'm not going to kiss the ring, I'm not going to bend the knee, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. That's the spirit that we have to have right now. And I definitely have it, and I want to spread it to you.
What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. U.S. Appeals Court puts temporary stop to Biden vaccine mandate. They cite grave statutory and constitutional issues with the mandate. Really? Yeah. It doesn't take an Obama-level constitutional lawyer to know that OSHA is not a department of the agency of the executive branch that can force people to get a needle. Like it doesn't take an expert. I know they try to frame it with all these people from academia and the lawyers, and they talk their lawyers speak. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. They're trying to make it sound like normal people don't have enough information to have a general take on how the civics of our country work. I'm from a time when they still taught civics. You probably hate me, government. I actually know what's in the Constitution to a general degree, enough that I can do a Google search for what I want to find. OSHA is there to protect workers from hazards, chemicals, hazardous situations at the job. A virus is like in life. If OSHA's job is to protect me as a worker from life, then they've become God with no legislation, just an executive order. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful. The legislative branch has become a hot steaming turd. The executive branch is what it is. The executive branch always had the propensity to become a king-like. That's why the founding fathers, created these other branches. So as much as I want to talk about the executive branch here, really I'm more angry at the legislative branch. But then it all came down to the judicial, and they did it. Now, I'll read a little bit here and a quick takeaway. I'll be out here quickly. According to reports, Biden's vaccine mandate for companies has been temporarily halted by U.S. Federal Appeals Court today. The mandate would have required companies with 100 employees or more, as we know, pushing it to January 4th, to be tested weekly or to get the vaccine. The mandate was controversial, to say the least, led to lawsuits flying all over the place. Thank you, judicial branch, for stepping in. It might be a concern. When you've got lawsuits piling in from everyone, jumping into lawsuits, ready to go, and that's part of the reason, in my opinion, they delayed it, because they knew this was going to happen. So they wanted to give companies cover to set an earlier date. So there's companies have already set the date, and they use the mandate as the reason. You guys play some real funny games. Biden administration has until 5 p.m. Monday to respond to the request for a permanent injunction, according to reports, which I assume they obviously will. Grave and statutory constitutional issues. No, of course there are. I'm grateful for the judicial branch right now, but this doesn't change anything. I stated in my other video, I don't care what happens. I mean, nothing's happened now. They just temporarily halted it. They could put it back into effect with a injunction, next week. Who knows? But no matter what happens, that does not change the overreach that you tried to do. The government did an overreach that is unacceptable. There's no turning back from this. We must start the process in my opinion, through the democratic process of dismantling this thing. It still is in play. But my takeaway here is the judicial branch is not always going to be a branch of integrity. Some people don't think it is now, but I'm seeing enough that it's the most when you compare it to executive and legislative, the judicial branch, by far, it's not even close, has the most integrity, constitutional integrity, which it should. But it's not always going to be like that. I think I've brought this up in every video. I know it was that powerful of a moment that was captured. But do you think the judicial branch is going to have that same integrity when the young ladies from Arizona State University and the infamous Multicultural Center, that a lot of people still don't understand, the infamous Multicultural Center, critical Multicultural Center, when young ladies of that ilk start to sit on the bench, do you think they're going to give a damn about the Constitution? That's why they're trying to, this phrase, pack the courts. They're trying to lengthen that out to get some people like that on there. I believe there's this term, if you look at the hearings for confirmation for these judges, a lot of them are using this term, or in the past. They don't like to talk about it during the hearing, but they love talking about it in op-eds and all other stuff. This idea of a living constitution. I believe that's what it is. I want to make sure I'm not misspeaking. Living constitution. That they have a way with words, don't they? What that means is, I'm going to use Wiki. I don't usually use Wiki, but loose constructionism. The living constitution, or loose constructionism, is the claim that the United States Constitution and other constitutions hold a dynamic meaning that evolves and adapts to new circumstances, even if the document is not formally amended. I'm going to be grateful for the temporary halt right now, but doesn't change anything. Let me know what you think. Take care.
I'm fighting the good fight for you. Are you with me? Last week I was on Let's Be Frank's channel, and I made the announcement that my husband and I had decided together that we were going to stand up against the vaccine mandates. Well, when I made that announcement originally, I thought that we were only going to be fighting that fight on one front, but I got this. Tried to black out the company letterhead, but it's basically a letter from my job saying that I have until November 8th to turn in my vaccination card, which I do not and will not have. I thought that we would be fighting this fight side by side, but it looks like we're going to be fighting this front to back. And I wanted to document this just to show you that I'm just a regular person, okay? I can't afford, or we can't afford to just never work again. We have a mortgage, we have car payment, student loan payments. We're regular people, just like everybody else. But we need to stick together. We need to stand up and fight, because they cannot do this to us if we band together. And hey, I'll lead the charge, but I need you guys to be behind me, because we can't do this on our own. We need people to stick together, whether or not you've been vaccinated or not. Like, if you just think that the mandates are wrong, you need to stick with your unvaccinated colleagues, because trust me, if you do not stand up and fight against this now, the next thing that they have coming down the pike is going to be way worse, like 1,000,000 times worse. And you'll look back on this moment and you will be on your hands and knees begging that you would have done something right now, because you let freedom and liberty go out on your watch. Well, no, not me. Not me. I cannot. I have ancestors who fought the British in the Revolutionary War. Okay, 1776 courses through my veins. But not only is that in there, but I also come from escaped slaves. Okay, the people who weren't going to live under tyranny. I also come from a long line of civil rights activists. People who stand up when it's time to stand up, and they say, no more. I'm not going to kiss the ring. I'm not going to bend the knee. I would rather die on my feet than live So get with your people at work, okay? Talk to your coworkers. Find out where they stand. Organize and push back.